Alright guys, I'm going to teach you how to do a speaker installation on your vehicle. I'm going to do it in the front doors on this car, and I'm going to disassemble this front door panel in order to gain access to the speaker, uninstall it, and then reinstall a new one. I'm going to switch it out with another factory speaker, so it's nothing aftermarket, but it's going to show you the same steps it's going to take in order to replace a speaker or to install a new speaker. On going into it, you want to make sure you have the right tools for the job. So these are the tools you're going to need in most cases to get the door panel disassembled and to take out your speaker and uninstall it. A hook pick, Phillips flathead, a smaller flathead, some panel poppers. Right here in my pouch I have nut drivers, torque bits, Phillips flatheads, and some extensions. I'm going to be using my Makita impact drill and also having this muffin pan here. I'm going to use it to collect all my nuts and bolts. I'll just throw them in there and have them sitting in there organized, so when I go to reinstall everything, they're all accounted for and I can just go find the spot where they're at and pop them in place. It'll also be handy to have a little magnet just like this. So now that we have all the tools accounted for, we're going to analyze and look at our door panel. First, we're going to look for any screws that are on the outside perimeter. I see this light right here that's going to have to be popped out and disconnected. And by scanning, I see there's a cap right here that needs to be removed in order to gain access to the screw that's below it. Also that one right there. And you can see it has a groove where it'll fit a flathead screwdriver and pop right out. I don't see any other screws or any hidden caps besides those two. So by releasing this screw, I imagine I have to take this off in order to gain access to more screws. So now by going over and checking out my door panel, I can now start using my tools to disassemble it. I'm going to get my flathead screwdriver, my little one, go right here, making sure not to scratch or mess anything up, and just pop it right out. This piece comes out pretty easily. I'm going to drop it in the muffin pan. I'm going to walk over here and get out this little cap. Pops out just like that, and go put it in my muffin pan, because they call me the Muffin Man.
Muffin Man.
Grab my Phillips bit, lock it in there, and start taking out some of these screws. This one right here. Drop it in the pan. Go over here. See how the magnet's going to come in handy? Just grabs it right out of there. I can notice we see that there are two different screws here. One's longer than the other. The longer one came from here, the shorter one came from here. So knowing that, I separate them and just take a mental note on where they're at. Got those out. Now I'm going to come to this light that I know needs to be popped out. So I'm going to come in here very gently and wedge my panel popper in there. And it just comes out that easily. Using my flathead screwdriver, I see this connector right here. And I'm going to press this tab right here and just release it just like that. Light bulb's out. Get that, put in your muffin tray. That's loose, everything's good there. Now we're going to move up to where the door locks and also the window are. So before taking off this panel and disconnecting these connectors, I want to make sure I put the window down. This is going to help take off this door panel and also help me with clearance issues. So what I'm going to do is put the key in the ignition, turn it over, just enough to where I can get the accessory circuit, put the windows down, and then I'll continue the installation. All the way down. So now that that's taken care of, I'm going to come over here with my panel popper and just gently get in here and pry it up. Be gentle. You shouldn't have to force it too much. It'll come right out. And it popped right out. You can see that it has some clips that were holding it in right here. Clips right here that were holding it in right here. And the screw that went right here was fastening this part down. So by looking at it, I see I have two connectors that are right there. It's got my little flathead screwdriver. Find where these tabs are. You'll see them on either side. And what I'm going to do is just press in with my flathead screwdriver and just pop it out. This tab presses in, and when it presses in, it releases the clip and it pops out easily. I'm going to do the same thing on this connector. We'll find that little tab. You'll see it right here. Press it in and pop it right out. It should come out easily. You shouldn't have to force it too bad. Different cars will have different little clip styles, but most of the time they're just the same. Now by releasing those clips and taking that panel off, I see there's one more screw right here that was hiding. And go in here, back it out, little magnet action, and pop it out right there. This is actually the same size as the other one I took out in the same spot, so I'm going to drop it in the same spot. Now it looks like all the fasteners are out, connectors are disconnected, the light's out. Now we're just going to double check that there's no fasteners that are hidden. There might be a fastener that's hidden right here. Right here there's not on this car. Looking around, I don't see any extra fasteners. So now it comes time to popping out some of these door clips that are secured from the door panel to the actual door. Now they run throughout the perimeter and also sometimes up through here, and they're surrounding all the door, and you need to pop them off in order to break this loose. So you're going to come in here and just with your fingers try to get in there and just to see and peek what's going on. So I'm checking it out and I can see there's a door clip noticeably right there, and there's probably going to be one right here. So I focus on that one that I see. It's good practice to put a rag down, or you can maybe mask it off with some painter's tape or something so you don't scratch your vehicle. You're going to get your panel popper, your door popper, and just wedge it right on both sides of the door clip and just pry back. And it released it. If you have a newer car, and if with enough patience, you can actually just from there start popping with your hands, and it can actually just break loose without having to use the panel popper the whole time. You can see this is coming off pretty easily. So we're going to go around the whole outside perimeter and just pop it out. And if you notice, I'm not using too much force. I'm just barely pushing out on it, making sure not to crack anything. So by looking at it, you can see the door panel is loose. I got all the clips out, but I do notice that this top trim piece is connected to the door. So there's probably a clip that's right there. So I'm going to go up here with the panel popper and just pop it. And sure enough, there was a clip there. All the door clips are loose, so I should be able to just pull out and lift out. Pull out, lift up, pull away. So now I try to pull away and I see that I'm still stuck here. So what's going on is that the door lever right here, the cables are still connected. You can see how this cable is mounted right here through the plastic. So what you're going to do is just pull up on it. See that? You just pull right up on it, and you can see the ball that's on the cable, and you just kind of weave it right out. So I'm going to pull this out, taking a mental note of where it went. Luckily for me though, if I was to get them confused, they're different. This one can only fit on the lower one, and this one can only fit on the higher one. They're two different balls. So to get this one out, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull up on that plastic. See how this weaves in there? Wiggle it right out. Came out easily. Get my door panel, walk it over, set it somewhere so it doesn't get messed up or fall over, and now we can check out our speaker. So now it comes time to uninstall our speaker. By uninstalling it, we need to disconnect this connector right here. This is the positive and negative that comes from the head unit or the amplifier. So we're going to disconnect this. We're going to press this tab in and pull it out. Just like the connectors that we disconnected on the door that were the door locks and the power windows. So now that we got that taken care of, we're going to put that to the side. Now we need to focus on uninstalling this speaker. So we see these 3 bolts that are installed. You see how they're a hex and also a Phillips. But my personal experience, I like just using the bolts so I don't strip out this head. Usually I end up stripping them out because they're actually in there with a lot of torque. That's why they have hex heads on them. So knowing what size it is already, it's a 10mm. I'm going to go in with the 10mm nut drive and make sure it fits. Fits good. Snap it into place. Pop one out. Drop it into my tray. So I'm coming down to the last screw. I want to make sure to have one hand on the speaker. So when I release this, the speaker doesn't drop. Got that one out, put it in the tray, and I'm noticing it's not coming out easily. Sometimes they have a seal that's on there that actually keeps it nice and sealed so it doesn't rattle with vibration or things like that. So it might take a little love just to get it out. And right there, it came out easily. And just like I said, there's a little rubber seal that runs across. Looking at my speaker, it's always good to examine it, check out what might have been wrong, and what I'm going to do is grab the new speaker and install it. So right here I have the OEM replacement, which is a Clarion. So I'm going to go ahead and install the exact same one. I'd go aftermarket, but the Clarion is not too bad. So I'm going to get my 10mm screw and put them back in. Nice and secure, not over torqued, didn't strip anything out. Get my connector, snap it back in. So before reinstalling the door panel, I'm going to check for any extra clips that were actually stuck in the door when I released the door panel. And sure enough, there's one right there. So I'm going to go in here with my door clip remover and pop it right out. So now it's time to reinstall. We're going to take our door panel, come back to where we were when we took it apart, and reinstall our door locks. Remember to find that little hole right here, push it in there. You see this little plastic piece needs to be unlocked and engaged again. Same thing with the lower end. Grab the ball, line it up, find that little area, pop it back in place. So now that we got the door locks figured out, we know that these connectors need to come through this hole in order for the door locks and the window to work again. So we want to keep a mental note and know those need to stick out for us. We're going to come up here and go over the lip of the door, and it should just lock in place like that. This top pillar, pop that in. We come back low because we had that light that was back here. So we're gonna make sure this wire is here for us before we snap it all back together. So after we got our electrical figured out and everything's out where it needs to be, we're gonna come to the side of the door, take a peek, and make sure that all the clips are lining up. If they're not lining up, something is off course. Maybe the trim's not in all the way on here, or something's not lined up. You wanna make sure you got everything lined up so that it goes together nice and smooth. So by looking at everything, all these holes are gonna line up if I push on them. So what I'm gonna do, line them up, come with my fist, and just lightly tap. Just like that. They're actually gonna pop, making sure that they're all lined up still. Pop. You don't wanna hit too hard and start breaking your panel, but just enough force to where they actually engage. It's a nice firm slap. Don't go in there punching it and start cracking stuff. So now we go to our light, plug it in, kind of check out the little indications that it gives us to where it needs to be mounted at. And you can see right here, it's round right there, it's round there, flat there, it needs to go this way. Come in here, just clip it in, no problem. So now it comes time for our door locks and our windows. We'll get our connector for our door locks, for the windows. So I got these all connected the way they should. Now you want to take a mental note of the screw that we took out. There's a screw that goes here, that goes on the outside, and there's a screw that goes here that needs to be on the inside. So we're going to go here with the screw. Get this lined up. Put a little force into it. Snap just like that. Get our other screw. Line it up. Get our cap. Now we come over here. Remember, it was a different size screw for this one. Put that in there. Nice and tight. Get our cap. Line it up. Pop it in place. So what we're going to do is make sure everything works before we call it a day. We can see the power locks are working. The levers are working. They're connected correctly. We're going to turn the key over and make sure our window goes up. Music's working. We got some Gwen Stefani blasting. Everything's connected correctly. So there you go. That's how you disassemble a door panel, how you uninstall a speaker, how you reinstall a speaker, and how you reassemble your door panel. There's little tricks of the trade, what tools to use, and what methods to take when doing it correctly. Hopefully you guys save some money, and hopefully you guys learn something.